The middle layer of the skin is called the dermis. And the dermis has two regions, the papillary layer and the reticular layer. The papillary layer is pretty thin, and it lies immediately deep to the epidermis. Where you see the dark pink squiggly line, that's the epidermis. So just beneath that is the papillary dermis. And actually, the papillary dermis is composed of areolar connective tissue. The thickest part of the dermis is the reticular dermis. It is composed of dense, irregular connective tissue, and it's extremely resistant to pulling forces in many directions. Structures of the dermis that are really important are as follows. First of all, hair. Hair roots reside in the dermis. At the base of every hair root is a receptor called a root hair plexus. These receptors detect fine touch of the hair shaft. So when you run your finger across your eyelashes very gently, the reason why you can feel your eyelashes being moved is because every single one of those eyelashes has a root hair plexus, and you can detect distortion. So all hair in the body has a root hair plexus. As a hair root progresses up through the dermis, it's called a hair follicle. And then that hair follicle protrudes through the epidermis, and the portion we can see is called the hair shaft. Now, two important structures associate with hair follicles. Sebaceous glands are glands that will produce a molecule called sebum. Sebum is an oily, fatty substance that lubricates the hair shaft. And then, of course, because that hair shaft is along the skin, will then also lubricate the skin. Remember, skin is very tough and dry because of keratin. And so sebum sort of acts as a lubricant to the hair and the skin. Another important structure is the arrector pili muscle. Arrector pili muscles are smooth muscles. That means they are involuntary. They're controlled by the autonomic nervous system. When they contract, they cause a hair to stand upright. And we commonly refer to that as goosebumps. Skin is highly innervated, and the majority of that innervation comes from the receptors in the dermis. First of all, free nerve endings sort of look like tree roots that pass through the dermis and then synapse or connect to the epidermis. Free nerve endings mean that the end portion, the receptive end, is free. It's not bound by a bundle of collagen like the encapsulated corpuscles are. Free nerve endings detect touch, pain, heat, and cold. The other type of receptors are called encapsulated corpuscles. They have a receptive end covered in layers of collagen, and that increases the receptive field. Examples of encapsulated corpuscles are the Meissner's corpuscle and the Pacinian corpuscle. All encapsulated corpuscles respond to different types of touch. Discriminative touch is fine touch. Non-discriminative touch is more broad touch. When we get to the nervous system, we'll talk about these different types of receptors. Now, lastly, the dermis is highly vascular. We call the capillaries in the dermis the dermal vascular plexus, the arteries and veins of the dermis. They bring nutrients to the skin and away from the skin, and they also are involved with body temperature regulation. By vasoconstricting, they will prevent heat loss. By vasodilating, they will promote heat loss and sweating. On the next page, we're going to talk about the deepest layer of the skin, which is called the hypodermis.